What's up, everybody? Welcome to Backlash. Backlash is the book by Susan Faludi from 1991. The byline is The Undeclared War on American Women. And before we get this kicked off, once again, thank you to the people that actually watch these. I don't know why. Like, I was expecting the worst. I guess you should never expect something as a content creator. But I was expecting maybe, you know, the first video to get one viewer, none. And I'm just like, all right, people don't want to hear about it. So I just stopped doing it. But, man, I looked at the view counts. A minute ago when I was inside, I was kind of bummed out because my videos today are getting no traction. Yeah, I know I'm a content creator. I'm a little emotional wreck or whatever. I don't care. You know, the numbers are all we have. We're content creators, and the numbers kind of matter. But I was looking at the views, and man, the first one got like 25 views, and then, no, 19. Then the second one got like 25, then 23, then like 19. And this morning when I did this, I said that my videos only had single-digit views. Man, people are watching this. I don't know what you get from it. You won't interact. I'm done begging for that. You know, a guy with self-respect only begs so many times. But I love it if you interact. I'm a normal guy. I don't bite. You know, all I can show you is who I am. This isn't the Kush Clark Kent character. It's just me. It's just Gary. And I'm a lot different when I'm not playing a video game. Anyways, we're lighting the candle today. I don't know if you can see it. You can now, probably. It's a Valentine's Day candle with the sweethearts. We do aromatherapy around here. I'm a different kind of dude. It won't light. These wicks need to be longer. All right, we got it, baby. All right, let me see where we left off. Okay. So we're going to read, let me see, we're on page 24. We're actually getting through this slowly but surely. I'm going to try to get through page... By the way, I'm wearing a hat today, obviously. Just like I had a little levity, this stupid hat. Plus, I just didn't feel like styling my hair, to be honest with you. That's the thing about getting on camera. You got to actually look presentable. Like, normally I'm doing these videos, I'm just wearing, like, fucking basketball shorts and no shirt. But now I actually got to put clothes on. Man, it's a long chapter. Seems like it never ends. Good Lord, what is this? Am I reading this correctly? Are we on chapter 2? There's no way. Part 1. There's no freaking way. Let me see that again. I'm sorry. We're going to start up very soon. But man, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to leave off because this chapter never ends. All right, we're going to stop at page 33. We'll try to. We're starting at 24. It's going to be a long video. Okay. The press's treatment of Height's and Blotnick's findings suggests that the statistics the popular culture chooses to promote most heavily are very statistics we should view with the most caution. They may well be in wide circulation, not because they are true, but because they support widely held media preconceptions. One more interruption. I gotta turn the fan on. It's getting hot in here. It was, earlier, man, I was sweating bullets. I ain't letting that happen again. It's annoying. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with this fan, but it won't pull. Okay. Awesome. Good enough, I guess. This video's a disaster already. I feel like starting it over. I'm not going to. Alright, under the backlash, statistics become prescriptions for expected female behavior, cultural marching orders to women describing only how they should act and how they would be punished if they failed to heed the call. Punished? Man, reading this misogynist fucking bullshit is crazy. Like, you just treat women like a child? The answer is yes for them. Like, you understand there are fucking equal. There's more of them than there are of us. I don't understand where men get so much fucking arrogance from. We're not that smart. We're not that good at what we do. Which is probably causes the insecurity in most men. You know you ain't shit. Okay, and how they would be punished if they failed to heed the call. The data, in quotes, was said to reflect simply the way things are, in quotes, for women, a bedrock of demographic reality that was impossible to alter. The only choice for women was to accept that the numbers accept the numbers and lower their sights to meet them. Yabba no. I need a paperweight. I'm going to use a burning candle as a paperweight. Okay, so I'm tired of shaking the table. As the backlash consensus solidified, statistics on women stopped functioning as the social barometers. The data instead became society's checkpoints, positioned at key intervals in the life course of women, dispatching advisories on the perils of straying from the appointed path. This prescriptive agenda governed the lifespan of virtually every statistic on women in the 1980s, from initial gathering to final dissemination. In the Reagan administration, the worst administration, well, till Trump, U.S. Census Bureau demographers found themselves under increasing pressure to generate data for the government's war against women's independence to produce statistics proving, in quotes, the rising threat of infertility, there we go again, with the man shortage too, the physical and psychic risks lurking in abortion, the dark side of single parenthood, the ill effects of daycare. What? People I've dealt with in the Reagan government seem to want to recreate the fantasy of their own childhood. Martin O'Connell, chief of the Census Bureau's Fertility Statistics Branch, says. That's interesting insight. I'm excited to hear what he says about this. And results that didn't fit the fantasy were discarded, of course, which makes your study invalid. You can't just throw out results you don't like. It's not how it works. Like a government finding that the federal affirmative action policies have a positive effect on corporate hiring rates of women and minorities. Really? Affirmative action led to more hiring of minorities and women? I can't believe that. That's what it was fucking supposed to do. The Public Health Service censored information on the beneficial health effects of abortion and demoted the fired federal scientists whose findings conflicted with the administration's so-called pro-family policy. Most social research into the family has had an immediate moral purpose to eliminate deviations like divorce, desertion, illegitimacy, and adultery, rather than a desire to understand the fundamental nature of social institutions. Social scientist Kingsley Davis wrote in his 1948 classic, Human Society. I've heard of that. More than 40 years later, it is one of the few statements by a demography that is held up. I wonder how the, a book? It just says classic. I wonder how that's held up in as a whole. Ah, here we go. The man shortage, a tale of two marriage studies. I don't know why I find it so funny, man shortage. Like, what does that mean? We're here. A lot of us are just horrible. Valentine's Day 1986 was coming up, and at the Stanford Advocate, why am I reading like that? It was reporter Lisa Marie Peterson's turn to produce that year's story on Cupid's sling and arrows. Her angle, in quotes, as she recalls later, will be romance. Is it in or out, in quotes. She went down to the Stanford Town Center Mall and interviewed a few men shopping for flowers and chocolates. Then she put in a call to the Yale Sociology Department just to get some kind of foundation, she says. You know, something to put in the third paragraph. She got Neil Bennett on the phone, a 41-year-old unmarried sociologist who had recently completed with two colleagues an unpublished study on women's marriage patterns. Bennett warned the study wasn't really finished, but when she pressed him, he told her what he found. College-educated women who had schooling and careers before their wedding date were going to have a harder time getting married. Oh no. Now, what's this importance about marriage? Like, it feels like society needs to grow up and move past that. Like, marriage is an ancient institution rooted in ownership, and like it just seems so outdated. Like, I mentioned it earlier. I go back and forth on whether I want marriage, and I don't think I do. It's so outdated. I don't need it. Like, what do I need a little piece of paper and a ring for? Bennett brought out the numbers. Never married college-educated women at 30 had a 20. There it is, that lie. Had a 20% chance of being wed. By 35, their odds had gone down to 5%. By 40 to 1.3%. We read that earlier on a previous page. And black women had even lower odds. Oh, sure. I'm sure they do. Because black women gotta be bad, right? My jaw just dropped, recalls Peterson, who was 27 and single at the time. Peterson never thought to question the figures. Really? Like, my first glance at it, I mentioned this earlier, I thought that sounds fake. We usually just take anything from good schools. Not me. If it's a study from Yale, I think I'm more inquisitive than the average person, though. From Yale, we just put it in the paper. That's very disturbing. The Advocate ran the news on the front page. The Associated Press immediately picked up the story and carried it across the nation and eventually around the world. In no time, Bennett was fielding calls from Australia, eh? In the United States, the marriage news was absorbed by every outlet of mass culture. The statistics received front-page treatment in virtually every major newspaper and top billing on network news programs and talk shows. They wound up in sitcoms from Designing Women to Kate and Allie, and movies from Crossing Delancey to When Harry Met Sally, The Fatal Attraction. In women's magazines from Mademoiselle to Cosmopolitan, in dozens of self-help manuals, dating service mailings, night class courses on relationships, and greeting cards. I love Susan Faludi. This shit is so easy to read. Sometimes. Even a transit advertising service, the Street Fair Journal, plastered the study's findings on display racks in city buses around the nation. Man, they just poisoned the minds of people in the 80s, didn't they? And everybody just took it as fact because we had no computers to look up anything. Like, how would we disprove it? We gotta go to the library and pull out multiple books and like compare studies to one another. Like, the average American can't do that. I was gonna say isn't doing that. They can't do that. On their way to work, who could gaze upon a poster of a bereft lass in a bridal veil posed next to a scorecard listing her miserable nuptial odds. It didn't go out. They both stayed lit. So I'm going to keep them, fuck it, both flames can stay lit. Bennett and his colleagues, Harvard economist David Bloom and Yale graduate student Patricia Craig, predicted a marriage crunch for baby boom college-educated women for primarily one reason. Women marry men an average of between 2 and 3 years older. So they reasoned women born in the first half of the baby boom between 46 and 57, when the birth rate was increasing each year, would have to scrounge for men. Was that the man shortage? In a less populated older age brackets. And those education-minded women who decided to get their diplomas before their marriage licenses will wind up worse off. The researchers postulated on the theory that early bird gets the worm. At the very time the study was released, however, come here, Bo. I want my doggy now. Come here, jump up. Come on, Bubby. Good boy. I want that Bubby. We're gonna wrap up soon. We're almost to page 30, Bo. I'm actually getting through this faster than I thought. We're only 3 pages in, but I think I'm like, let's check the time. 12 minutes, not bad. And I spent like 2 minutes setting up, so we're making pretty good time. We're saving a whole minute. Normally it takes me 6 minutes to get through a page, 6 to 7 minutes. We're doing it in 5 today. Look at us. At the very time the study was released, however, the assumption that women marry older men was rapidly becoming outmoded. Federal statistics now show for first-time brides marrying grooms an average of only 1.8 years older. But it was impossible to revise the Harvard-Yale figures in light of these changes, or even to examine them, since the study wasn't published. This evidently did not bother the press, which it wasn't studied. It wasn't even peer-reviewed, and they published it. That makes no sense. The press just published a study that wasn't like professionally published, which shows to ignore. I hope I'm reading this wrong. Shows to ignore a published study on the same subject. Man, the media is horrible. I keep saying it, but man, they're the poison. Released only a few months earlier. The good study, the legit study, was released only a few months earlier. They just ignored it. They came to the opposite conclusion. There you go. That study in October 1985 report by researchers at the University of Illinois concluded that the marriage crunch in the United States, I mean, it's not real, was minimal. Their data, the researchers wrote, did not support theories which see the marriage squeeze as playing a major role in recent changes in marriage behavior. In fact, in their historical and geographic review of marital data, they could find marriage crunches only in a few European nations back in the 1900s. And was it because of war? And in some third world countries in more modern times. And that's just because of poverty, I would guess. In March 1986, Bennett and his co-researchers released an informal discussion paper in quotes, that revealed they only used a parametric model in quotes, to compute women's marital odds. They're just making shit up. an unorthodox and untried method for predicting behavior. And we took it as fact, man. You gotta think, you gotta be inquisitive, you gotta be curious, man. You got to check multiple sources. Princeton professors Ainsley Cole and Donald McNeil had originally constructed the parametric model to analyze marital patterns of elderly women who had already completed their marriage cycle. What does that mean, completed their marriage cycle? Well, like, I wish they would explain that. What does that mean? Their partner died, or they're so far into a marriage where what's the cutoff? What's a marriage cycle? Bennett and Bloom, who had been graduate students under Cole, thought they could use the same method to predict marriage patterns. Cole asked about it later, was doubtful. In principle, the model may be applicable to women who haven't completed their marital history. What does that mean, completed their marital history? He says, but it's too risky to apply it. Why didn't he tell his students? To make matters worse, Bennett, Bloom, and Craig took their sample of women from the 1982 current population survey. You thirsty? We'll get you some. I'm going to wrap up after page 28 and go get him some water. We'll make the video a little shorter, too, because he's thirsty. We have a good way of communicating, and he's trying to tell me. In all fear, 82 current population survey, in all fear, than the decennial census study. I never heard these words. The researchers then broke that sample down into ever smaller subgroups. You want to get down? By age, race, and education, until they were making generalizations based on smaller, unrepresentative samples of women. So now your whole study is illegitimate in terms of a representative sample. So, yeah. As news of the... Here we go, man. I don't know why I find this so funny. As news of the man shortage study raced through the... I want to read that study. See how funny it is. And with hindsight, through the media, Jeanne Moorman, a demographer in the U.S. Census Bureau's Marriage and Family Statistical Branch, kept getting calls from reporters seeking comment. She decided to take a closer look at the researcher's paper. A college-educated woman with a doctoral degree in marital demography, Moorman was herself an example of how... My dog's sneezing. That's how he gets my attention. I think he wants to go in and get some water now. Yep, went straight to the bowl. And I don't know how he developed that habit of, like, he sneezes when he wants food or water. I don't know how in the world a dog could be cognizant enough to develop that type of behavior, but he did. And he only does it when he wants food or water. The dogs are way smarter than you realize. Where we at? Okay. That's not where we're at. Princeton. Man, where'd I stop? Damn it, Bo, it's his fault. Model to analyze marital patterns of elderly women who had already completed their marriage cycle. Bennett and Bloom, who had been graduate students. I already read this. To make matters worse, Bennett, Bloom, and Craig took their sample of women from... Damn it, I read this. Where did I stop at? Let's just read about the man shortage again. As news of the man shortage study raced through the media, Jeanne Moorman, a demographer in the U.S. Census Bureau's Marriage and Family Statistics Branch, kept getting calls from reporters seeking comment. I wonder who was calling. Like, older women are like, am I really not going to find a man? She decided, and to them, older women is like 30s. I bet it was women in their fucking late 20s, early 30s, and calling like, am I really going to be alone forever? Like, it's just like this crazy. You cause all that anxiety in their minds, and it wasn't even true. But once you tell somebody something, even if a stat's made up, they don't second guess that shit. She decided to take a closer look at the researcher's paper. A college-educated woman with a doctorate degree in marital demography, Moorman herself was an example of how individual lives defy demographic pigeonholes. She had married at 32 to a man nearly 4 years younger. Wow, okay. That's interesting. Wonder what their marriage is like. 32, he's 28. I used to have this like massive interest in older women. Because they showed interest in me. And but I got away from that because I'm thinking, man, I'll be honest. My dream for a while was like to find some older, like rich woman to just take care of me. Let me do whatever I want. And I take care of other things. But like housework and shit. Just want to do like a domestic service for some rich lady. But after a while, I got so many weird things said to me by older women. I'm like, and one just literally said, like, you remind me of my son. And like, that's really creepy. It makes me think of the Freud shit. like with the Oedipus complex and all that. If I were to marry, let me say, ideally, to me, I look at my parents' marriage. They're 8 years apart. My dad's 74 right now. Mom is 66. And like the older you get, the age gap like that seems irrelevant or like not even there at all. And like I would probably do their thing, like 8 years. Like I would probably marry 8 years younger or 8 years older. Beyond that, I just have no other reference point besides my parents' marriage. So probably 8 years is my cutoff. Okay. Damn, I just babbled. I don't even know where the fuck I am. Mormon sat down at her computer and conducted her own marriage study using conventional standard life tables instead of parametric model and drawing on the 1980 population census, which includes 13.4 million households, instead of the 1982 survey that Bennett used, which included 60,000 households. While a little different, 13 million to 60,000. The results. At 30, never married college-educated women have a 58 to 66% chance in marriage. 3 times. That's what I was saying, man. There's no way that shit was true. Like, okay, what's that? 30? That is nothing in the grand scheme of things. That's not even middle age. Of course you have a good chance of marrying still. Like, why would they lie to people like this? College-educated women have a 58 to 66% chance in marriage. 3 times the Harvard-Yale's predictions. Man, I'm pissed off, man. I know it's the past, but man, this poisons so many women's and minds and men too. At 35, the odds were 32 to 41%, which is what I thought. 7 times higher than this Harvard study. So the older you get, it gets worse. At 35 years old, is 7 times higher than the Harvard study. At 30, it's 3 times higher. What a garbage study. At 40, the odds were 17, 23%. Okay, now that makes sense. 40, you're kind of pushing it, if I'm being real. In terms of biology and just, imagine it becomes harder to date. And she found that college, it's 23 times higher. Bro. 3, 7, and 23 times higher. So the Harvard-Yale studies were complete just fabrications. And people took it as gospel in the 80s. That is very disturbing. It's like, what kind of studies are we receiving now that are just complete bullshit? And we take it as gospel? Probably all of them. It's so easy to lie to people. Because like I said, they don't double check any of this information. Look at all the COVID misinformation and all that shit. If people still spout that garbage. Oh, you took the vaccine, you're going to die. When am I going to die? I took the vaccine. When the fuck am I going to die? I'm healthier than I've ever been. And I got COVID, and that shit didn't even affect me. I was in bed for like a day. If I didn't get the shot, who knows what might have happened. People are stupid, man. In 1986, Mormon wrote to Bennett with her findings. She pointed out that more recent data also ran counter to his predictions about college-educated women. I wonder how he took it. While the marriage rate has been declining in the general population, the rate has actually risen for women with 4 or more years of college. See, man, it's all lies. Who married between 25 and 35. This seems to indicate delaying rather than foregoing marriage. Because of course they're delaying. They're getting their education and their career in order. They don't just skip out on marriage completely, or men magically think women are less attractive because you have a college degree and you're 30. That makes you more attractive to me. Shit. Like, I don't even know if I could marry. I could date a woman without a college degree. It would be tough. Yeah, I'm an elitist, whatever. I want somebody on my level. Mormon's letter was polite, also deferential. As a professional colleague, she wrote, she obliged to pass along these comments, which I hope will be well received. They were received with silence. 2 months passed. Then in August, writer Ben Wattenberg mentioned Mormon study in his syndicated paper column and noted that it will be presented at the Population Association of America, an important professional gathering for demographers. We're almost at 30 minutes again. I don't care, man. People watch it. You know, I guess it's what you want. You like the long videos. You like hearing me yap. I'm beginning to tell myself that people do like that shit. Because there's a reason you clicking these long videos. Like, If I put up all these short videos, they even get no clicks. But I put up like 40-minute long MLB The Show videos, this, and people are like, yeah, I love that, actually. I'm so confused. I guess it's not really possible for content like this to draw in a narrow-minded or simple-minded audience, because this is serious stuff. You know what I mean? This is something everybody can understand. And I haven't even gotten a hater. You know what I mean? But I hope people get some. I hope people like this, is what I'm trying to say. Because I don't understand why you're watching this stuff at these rates. Like 20 views is a lot for my channel. And something like this? Like, I'm confused. Why you like this? I'm like, what? People like feminism? I don't feel so alone anymore. And I would really not feel alone if people leave a comment that I'm at least being seen. When she didn't send it off to him as a copy as soon as it was available. Okay, sorry, I'll skip some sentences. Okay. Mormons, we're going to wrap up. We're going to read this page and wrap it up. Mormons' findings could prove embarrassing to Bennett and Bloom before their colleagues. Oh, we can't have that. I think I take the embarrassment of my studies bunk to save future generations. Suddenly, a letter arrived in Mormon's mail. I don't understand how researchers even have an ego. Like, you work with cold data. How do you have an ego? I understand from Ben Wattenberg that you will be presenting him a copy as soon as it's available. When she didn't send it off at once, he called, and Mormon recalls he was very demanding, like a man. It was, you have to do this, you have to do that. Hung up on his face. This was to become, I feel like these videos are making me see things through a woman's point of view. I'm beginning to, man, I love this fucking book. I love this book. They're like, listen to me, just like a man. I feel like I should be sitting around smoking Virginia Slims playing bingo with these ladies from the book. They're old now, no offense. But I feel like I could get, they probably love that shit. Like I said, older women have taken quite the interest in me. But I want to sit around with some women and complain about men. I bet they never get that. A straight man just coming to sit around and shoot the shit. Be like, yeah, men are scum. Smoking Virginia Slims. I don't even smoke. I smoke one with you. He was very demanding. It was, you have to do that. You have to do this. This has become a pattern in her dealings with Bennett. She says, I always got the feeling from him that he was saying, go away, little girl. Yeah, I knew it. Like, this dude is a sexist. I'm a college professor. I'm right, and you have no right to question me. Man, kudos for standing up for herself. Bennett refuses to discuss his dealings with Mormon or any aspect of the marriage studies history. Man, dude is a pussy. Asserting that he has been a victim of the overeager media, which misinterpreted this study more than I ever anticipated. Oh, poor baby. Poor little bitch boy. Meanwhile, at the Census Bureau, Mormon recalls she was running into interference from the Reagan administration officials. Shocking! The head office handed down a directive ordering her to quit speaking to the press about the marriage study because such critiques were too controversial. And controversial means I can't publish it. That makes me want to publish it even more, is what I'd say. Fuck controversy. I love controversy. CCC principle. Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. When a few TV shows actually invited her to tell the other side of the man shortage story, my favorite term, she had to turn them down. Oh no, train's coming. Let's get this over with. She was told to concentrate instead on a study that the White House wanted about how poor unwed mothers abuse the welfare system. Bullshit! But the winter of 1986, Mormon had put the finishing touches on her marriage report with the more optimistic findings and released it to the press. The media relegated it to the inside pages when they reported it at all. At the same time, in an op-ed piece printed in the New York Times, the Boston Globe, and Advertising Age, Bennett and Bloom roundly attacked Mormon for issuing her study, which only further muddled the discussion. It muddled the discussion because it conflicted with your study, your Bunk studies information. Bullshit. She actually saved your study and wrote a response to Bennett and Bloom's op-ed article. But the Census Bureau held up its release for months. By the time that, when the train's coming, they finished blue lining it. Mormon said it had said nothing. All right, guys. Love you. See ya. God bless. We'll be back for the next one on page 29. This has been Backlash.